Welcome! In this video, I would like to show you a few tips and tricks in Microsoft Word that might make it a bit easier for you to edit your longer academic papers. These techniques can also be useful in business writing, so I hope that they have long-term value for you. Let's get started. Here, I'm displaying my screen on my MacBook Pro. I've loaded a Microsoft Word document that has two sentences on this page. Both sentences convey roughly the same intention. The first sentence reads, "Now is the time for the good dog to eat." The second sentence, "The clock shows it is now time for the well-behaved canine to acquire sustenance." Okay, both sentences roughly mean it's time to feed the dog. But I'd like to show you a little quirk in Microsoft Word that could lead you to making wrong assumptions about the difficulty in reading these two sentences. And many times your professors will ask you to create documents at a specific reading level. This happens very frequently for students who are studying education because it's important that teachers know how to create text that students at different grade levels are likely to understand. So, in your education classes, the professors will instruct you as to how to test the reading level of the work that you write. But I'm going to show you, I don't want to call it a bug, so I'm going to just call it a little quirk of the application of the reading statistics function. Okay, I've enabled reading statistics in my version of Word. In a moment, I'll show you how to do the same thing on your version. When I select the first sentence, "Now is the time for the good dog to eat," I run my spell checker. There are no errors. Microsoft Word prompts me to either check the remainder of the document or not. I'll choose no. And the readability statistics for that sentence are displayed. There are 10 words, total of 31 characters, one paragraph, one sentence, average number of sentences per paragraph 1, words per sentence 10, characters per word 3. But here, these readability statistics, for example, the Flesch Reading Ease score is 100. That's the highest number on the Reading Ease scale, and it indicates that this sentence is as easy to understand by an American English speaker as the scale can measure. The Flesch-Kincaid grade level is a measurement of the anticipated appropriate grade level for someone to be able to understand this sentence. And the statistics program proposes that the response is 0.1, meaning this sentence should be understood by someone who is at 1/10 of first grade level. Okay, so that's someone who's about 6 months old, assuming we go to first grade at 5 or 6 years of age, and 1/10 of that is about 6 months. Yeah, I know, there are 12 months in a year, and my math is incorrect, but I'm in the ballpark. I don't think a 6 or a 7-month-old could understand that sentence. Maybe, but probably not. I've raised 2 daughters, and they're both very good readers, and I don't recall that they were able to speak at this level at 6 or 7 months. Maybe they were. Maybe I'm just not a good dad. I don't know. But let me do the same test to the next sentence. I select the next sentence, run the spell checker, tell Word not to check the remainder of the document. Here, the reading ease level is 71.7, which is in the ballpark of the level that is typical for adult reading. 60 to 70 points on a 100-point scale is typical for academic and business writing. But the statistics also report this should be readable by someone in the 6.7 grade level, roughly a 7th grader. Sure, I think a 7th grader could probably discern what that sentence means, but that's definitely not how a 7th grader typically speaks. It's not even the way, I don't know anyone who speaks that way. The clock shows it is now time for a well-behaved canine to acquire sustenance. Yeah, it just sounds fluffy. So I want to suggest that you're cautious in your trust of the reading statistics that are reported here in the spelling and grammar checker. Now, I've copied some text from the Microsoft website. Here's the long URL to that, the text that I've copied. And it describes the algorithm that's used to calculate both the reading ease and the Flesch-Kincaid grade level scores. They're simply a reflection of the average number of words in each sentence and the average number of syllables per word. And they're just two different mathematical equations. So while these tests are useful, and you may be required to use them in some of your courses, just be aware that they are a strict evaluation that sometimes they don't fit all situations. Now, here's how I enabled the reading statistics. I'm working on a MacBook computer, so I'm using the Word for Mac menu system. If you're working on a Windows computer, your menu system might be slightly different, but you'll be able to reach the same functionality. So I click Word and Preferences, go into my spelling and grammar preferences, and down here at the very bottom, I have an option to show readability statistics whenever the spell checker is executed. I just put a check mark there. Now, while I'm on this screen, I can show you another very useful tip. Normally, your spelling and grammar checker is by default set to check grammar. I propose changing this to grammar and refinements, or what I know on Microsoft Word for Windows, this menu has a slightly different name, but pick the option and then go into Settings. Here, check every single option. For example, looking for slang words or informal language or contractions, cliches. These, I don't want to call them errors, but these informalities will be identified in your document, and then you can choose to either let them stand or to recompose your sentences to use more formal language. Two options that are really useful are punctuation required with quotes inside. If you write in American English, you know that it's common for commas and periods that follow from a quotation to be placed within the quotation itself, meaning before the closing quotation mark. Writers of British and World English usually put these small punctuation marks, periods and commas, after the closing quotation mark, but we Americans like to put them before. So I have Microsoft Word double check me and make sure that whenever I've inserted a quotation using the quotation marks, that any punctuation that follows the quotation is included within the quotation if that punctuation were either a comma or a period. Exclamation marks, question marks, they go outside the quotation, and Microsoft Word knows that. I also frequently write in APA style, which requires only one space between sentences. So I have Microsoft Word's spell checker double check me, just in case I accidentally insert more than one space between sentences. Now, I learned to type on manual typewriters using the Courier typeface. At that time, it was more common to insert two spaces at the in-between sentences. So sometimes I still have that habit of double spacing at the end of each sentence. But with the use of proportionally spaced typefaces and digital word processing, APA has changed its style to now require that only a single space be used between sentences. So I let Microsoft Word double check me. All right, here's a different tip. You've seen in prior videos that I occasionally insert random text just so I could demonstrate some other functionality. Here's how I have been inserting that text. Equal sign, rand, the abbreviation of random, open, close, parentheses, and I press enter. And I get some text. I'm going to delete that and now show you that I can specifically indicate how much text I want. So I'll use equal sign, rand, R-A-N-D, open parenthesis, and then two numbers separated by a comma. So I'll do 2, 10, close parentheses, enter. And I get 2 paragraphs, each paragraph with 10 sentences. So there's 2 paragraphs. Now, I can use a different combination of numbers. Equal sign rand 5, 3 will give me 5 paragraphs of 3 sentences each. And there are my 5 paragraphs, each with 3 sentences. So that's kind of a useful function when you just need some text so you can practice some other technique and you really don't care what the text is. I hope you have the opportunity someday to teach these skills to another student. And now you've got the ability to create some random text so you can demonstrate formatting the text or copying and pasting the text. All right, speaking of formatting, let me show you a couple of ways that you can select text to be formatted. If I double-click on a word, the word itself is selected, and then I can format that text. I can make it red, bold. I can even change its size. If I move my mouse pointer into the left margin and click once, the line to the right of the mouse pointer is selected, and then I can copy or cut that or format it. With my mouse pointer in the left margin, if I double click, the whole paragraph is selected. A triple click, 1, 2, 3. My finger is not working too well today. The whole text, the whole document is selected. All right. So that's position the mouse pointer in the left margin, click once to select a line, twice to select a paragraph, 3 times to select the whole document. All right. I'm going to take this text, select it. Oh, let me show you how I selected that. I used my mouse pointer, held the mouse button down, and just dragged it over the text. And that selected all the text. Another way would be to click once, either at the beginning or the end of the text that I wish to select, and then shift-click at the other end. Everything in between is selected. So that's a click and then shift-click. And I don't have to select a whole paragraph. I could select just a few words. For example, click in front of complement, shift-click after other, or I guess I clicked before that and then shift-click after other. And just a few words are selected. I can format them, copy them, cut them, delete them. To delete them on my Mac, I just press delete and the text is deleted. The same is true on a Microsoft Windows computer. Pressing the delete key or the backspace key will delete selected text. All right. I want to show you a trick, though, about copying formatted text. I'm going to delete these paragraphs. I'm going to select that paragraph, and I'm going to use the keystroke Command C for copy. On a Windows computer, the equivalent keystroke is Control C. So anytime in this video, when I use a keystroke that I describe as Command something, on a Windows computer, you would use Control something. I'm going to Command C, copy that paragraph, click down here, and paste Command V. On a Windows computer, Control V. That copied text and pasted the text in a new location. Command C is copy. Command V is paste. There's also cut and paste. Cut removes the text, and paste puts the text in a new location. Here I duplicated text, so I copy pasted. But here's the cool trick. If I open a new document, and I'm going to use Command N on a Windows computer, Control N. If I paste the text again, I get the text as it was formatted when I copied it. But if I choose Edit from the menu, Paste Special, Unformatted Text, okay, I get the same text without the formatting. So let me do that again. I've copied here. I'll start the very beginning. I'll copy that text. go to a new document and paste special. Edit, paste special as unformatted text. Okay. Now the trick is I have to paste as unformatted text into a new document. This paste special does not work consistently if I stay in the same document. Now this is really useful if you copy text from a web page that has some formatting attributes. It's possible to copy just the words into Microsoft Word, having all the formatting automatically removed. Now, if you have been occasionally using my APA template, but you haven't used the template consistently for all of your academic papers, and you wish to combine academic papers into a single document, such as you might do when creating a final project in one of your courses, it's useful to copy the text from the original documents and paste special as unformatted text into my template. This will make sure that all formatting that doesn't apply within my template will be removed when the text is moved over into the template. Now, this is really useful when you have an assignment that requires you to take portions of other documents you wrote earlier in the semester and combine them together into a longer assignment response. Now, my last tip is about deleting words. And you know that you could just select text and delete. But sometimes you may be typing and you realize that your sentence is going off track. A useful tip at that point is to use Command Delete, or on a Windows computer, Control Backspace, and that deletes word by word words that precede the insertion point. So if I were to type, "Now is the time for all good," that sentence is going off track. So I can just delete word by word without having to move my hand over to my mouse so I could select the text prior to deleting it. Sometimes it saves time if you keep your hands either on the keyboard, one hand on the keyboard, the other hand on the mouse, but the movement from keyboard to mouse, it adds a second or two of delay. And when you really want to work fast, every second counts. I hope that these tips are interesting and useful to you. Editing a document in Microsoft Word is not necessarily difficult, but it's a cumbersome task. And the more tips that you have at your disposal to make that process easier, the more enjoyable it can be to create your documents and to carefully edit and proofread them. Until we meet again in a future video, I wish you the absolute best in all of your academic work, but particularly in the editing of your long Microsoft Word documents. Bye for now. Mika, it's hot today, isn't it? Yeah, you like being by the water, but it's still hot in the sun. But you're a good sport about it. You're a good dog. I love you.